Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Blue Lightning Healing Meditations. I'm sure you'll remember Sage Stevens, non-binary individual, gender acceptance advocate, and numerology aficionado. And we talked about, well, numerology. Enjoy. Welcome to Blue Lightning Healing Meditations. My name is Susie Parker Goins. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a channel, so I bring forward your guides so you can connect more easily with them, allowing you to have soul-deep conversations with them whenever you want. I'm an energy healer, a past life explorer, a mentor. My goal is to empower you by teaching you techniques that you can use on your own. We work together to find and identify the blockages to your growth and release them, inviting you to explore your possibilities. I'm available for phone and virtual sessions, and with Washington State opening up, I will be at some of these in-person events. The best way to contact me is through susie@bluelightninghealing.com. You can also contact me through my website, bluelightninghealing.com. There you'll find links in a fully searchable database of my podcasts, a link for my Ko-fi.com account to support me in my efforts, and a full calendar of events so that you know where I'll be online and in person. Oh yeah, and the appointment scheduler. That's there too. Thanks so much. Blessings. So here we go. Welcome to Blue Lightning Healing Meditations. My name is Susie Parker Goins, and I'm a channel, energy healer guide, and I meet amazing people through my online events now. And I have one today who I really have come to appreciate their energy and their enthusiasm for things. And when during a recent conversation they brought up that they loved numerology, I went, that's the podcast I want. So here we go. I present to everybody here Sage Stevens with a V. So Sage, please introduce yourself.
It is so awesome to be here. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Sage. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm so excited to talk to you about numerology today. I have a background in animal care and animal rescue, which transitioned me to mental health, and I've always been a helper in all of my roles throughout life. So I'm really excited to talk about how numerology can help you too.
How did you come to numerology?
It's a funny story, actually. When my grandma passed in 2011, I, was asking her for signs, and she was a bookkeeper. And I started seeing repeating numbers. And I also have a background in research, so I started researching all of the things. That's how I first started with numerology. So ever since then, wow, this year is 10 years, I've been very involved with numbers, angel numbers, life path numbers, and we can talk about all of that.
Cool. I am so excited because numerology is one of those things, I'll learn as I go. So right now I'm up to number 3. Well, I know numerology and numbers figure into a lot of tarot and oracle. And when somebody's doing a reading, and as you were talking about angel numbers, could you define numerology, please?
Sure. So this isn't my definition, but numerology really is surrounding that numbers have their own unique vibration and its own unique frequency. It goes back to Pythagoras, and he believed that numbers were sacred for various reasons, including correspondences, music, sacred geometry, which I also really love, astronomy, architecture, and mathematical proportions of pentagrams. And you can also find numerology in ancient Chinese, Mayan, and Jewish philosophies and beliefs. So many other cultures would also add and calculate specific number of sequences, like the 4 digits of a year, to define characteristics and spiritual meaning as well.
How cool. And I just
Isn't
thought,
it?
yeah, it is. Because, math, that's what I get. And I tanked in 5th grade math, teaching my kids math. It's like, no, 5th grade, sorry, can't go beyond that. So understanding there's a vibration to it, and you just covered the cultural significance of it for folks. There are different, not theories, but different categories of numerology, right? So you were
Yeah,
saying
you could
angel
say that.
numbers. What else?
Life
Besides,
path numbers, those are the 2 most common that I see used. A lot of people when they hear about life path numbers, get super interested in trying to figure out their life path number, which I'm happy to walk you through as well. It is really, really cool at looking up, figuring out your life path number and researching what that means for you, because it is remarkably scary how on point it will be. And I will read you mine later, and you will notice that it is very on point.
And I also know there are things called master numbers.
Yes.
When somebody was doing my numerologies, I was born 411, and he got all spun around the axle about the 11. I can't reduce that. That's a master number, blah, blah, blah. But then there was an online thing where they said, nah, just add it. Shut up. And so we got me a number. It reduced down to 5. And she said, oh, that's either really great or really a wreck. And I'm like, shut up.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. I think that master numbers are really cool. I do not subscribe to the belief that you cannot break them down, because you absolutely can, and you absolutely can add them together to create your life path number and a whole bunch of things. They can be extra special for, certain meanings, and, master numbers do have, extra power, but I don't believe that they cannot be reduced down, because they're just like any other number.
Okay, cool. I feel better, but I still reduced down to a 5. And
Okay, that's good to know.
yeah. See, that's the thing. Talking with practitioners, and I tell them this stuff, and they're like, ah, okay, that explains it. It's like, shut up, stop. Okay, life path. And, it seems like it's going to be around the time of year where people start talking about the year number. So as we enter a new year, people start talking about the significance of the energy of the year number, right?
Yeah.
So let's oh wait, this 2021 reduces down to a 5.
So 5 is typically equivalent to the 4 elements and the spirit as the 5th element. And it can also be symbolic for the 5 human senses, the points of a pentagram. And in Christianity, it's seen as the wounds of Christ. It can be sometimes considered a bit chaotic, which is maybe where the other person told you, because it can be conflicting as certain interpretations in tarot, which indicate struggle and conflict.
Oh, well, that's a much fuller thing. And the correspondences between numbers and what they're okay, that really does help. The 5 points of a star, of the pinnacle and the pentagram and the wounds of Christ and all that. That makes me feel so much better. Thank you very much.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad, because I don't think all numbers, there's no good and bad to anything. Right. 5 also has to do a lot with change. So it also depends on the person's perception. Maybe that person's perception that change is bad, but that's not your perception, and that's not the truth. That's just their perception on what they're sharing.
That's cool. I don't know. Do you want to go through a real quick rundown of the numbers?
Sure.
You've already hit 5, and you've got like 9 other numbers going, hello.
Sure. So number 1, and again, there are a lot of different meanings when you do your own research, and I always encourage people to do their own research. Check out several sources. Don't just go off of one, because if you don't know the writer of that blog or article or something, you want to make sure that your education and research is broadly done.
Which provides you that balance in perception.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Cool. This is only one perspective, and I got this off of Patty Widgington's article back in 2019. I always like crediting people. So this is just one aspect. For number 1, that is connected to all universal life force that touches us all. 1 is considered source, because any number multiplied by 1 equals itself, so it's a grounding number. In tarot, 1 is represented by the magician, also gains personal power by manipulating that around him. For number 2, it is related to polarity and duality. So thinking of balance, yin yang, light dark, God goddess. 2 represents one of each thing side by side. And also the second chakra connects to relationships. 2 can also be, you were talking about master number 11, which can be combined into 2. And, some people say, no, you can only look at the master number. You never combine it to 2. You can do both. There's that for number 2. And for number 3, 3 is often seen as the most magical number. It's connected to triple goddess, realms of sea, land, and sky, physical, mental, spiritual.
Pardon me. I've got to flashback, because I don't know if you ever saw Schoolhouse Rock, but that was one of their songs. They covered English and history and math.
Oh, yeah.
And that was one of the tunes. 3, it's a magic number. Yes, it is. And so I count my knitting stitches by 3. Okay.
Yeah. It's so funny. And three is also a symbol of action. And in others, it means the opposite. And it can relate to passiveness and neutrality. Three, I consider to be the most witchiest of numbers. You know, multiples of three. I'm life path 9, which is 3 times 3. There's a lot around 3. So I love 3 as a number. I often see repeating 4s, and 4 corresponds to the 4 elements. So earth, air, fire, water, as well as the cardinal directions and the 4 seasons.
Oh,
It can be connected to creativity, which as a lefty, I'm very creative, which makes a whole lot of sense that I would get lots of 4s. And in chakra energy work, the heart is the 4th chakra. So it relates to emotions and our compassion. I am a Pisces sun and moon, so lots and lots of water and emotions. So it makes sense that I get lots of 4s. That is a shortened explanation of 4.
yeah.
We went over 5. For number 6, it's related to sun energy. And in many traditions, 6 is considered a solar number, one of power, strong masculine energy. And because of that, it's often connected to security and responsibility. For number 7 is related to lunar energy. So that is feminine energy, moon, intuition, wisdom, thought forms, and consciousness are also represented by the number 7. That might be where, lucky number 7 comes from and things like that. For number 8, it can be for several things. 8 is connected to planet Mercury, which relates to messages and communication from divine. And 8 flipped on its side is an infinity symbol.
Yay. I was going to ask because I use that image all the time in readings.
Yep. If you are Wiccan or pagan and you celebrate Sabbats, it's also related to the 8 Sabbats. Not all traditions observe 8 Sabbats or any or all, so that's up to your personal journey, but that is just some of the interpretations. And 9 is, 3 times 3. It is a very powerful number. It's associated with goddess energy. It also indicates change and growth. In tarot, 9 symbolizes completion or process, so being life path 9, I'm very thankful that this is my completion last time on this planet. And that brings us to 0, which often we think it means nothing, but really it can symbolize the potential we have to form something new.
Yeah.
And I love that. Sometimes 0 is seen as representative of the beginning, much like the Fool appears at the beginning of the tarot, about to begin their new journey, and things like that. So if you see zeros, or zeros are never a bad thing. Numbers are never bad.
Well, it's also one of the few things about math history I remember is that they had a whole bunch of trouble with math until 0 was discovered, found, developed, because that's what indicates different places. They also call it the
Right.
cosmic egg. Okay, so I do have a question about you were corresponding some of your numbers with chakras, and we've got the big 7, that inner rainbow, but there are other chakras because you have the Earth star. So could we correspond that one to say 0? And
That's an
then,
interesting question. I think that you can. I think that it very much depends on your perspectives of things.
yeah,
I think that that's what makes numerology so cool, is that it does depend on your interpretation and how things are seen. And it's important to realize too, when you are reading things about numerology and different people, it's very much based on their perspective. So
yeah,
like that person that told you that 5 was, potentially bad, or however they worded it, that's purely their perspective on that, and
yeah.
that's not necessarily really what it is.
Right. Okay. So then taking it up 8, because we have those are subpersonals, which are the chakras below us, and then so that would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Then 8 and 9 would be soul star and something else. Well, that helps. I'm going to add that to my chakra series. Making a note. Cool. So angel numbers. We've touched on that. Could you please elaborate?
Sure. So angel numbers are really one of my favorite things ever. Also, before we get to angel numbers, I just want to also say that numerology is really just a method that we can use to enhance our understanding of ourselves, our purpose
Cool.
in life, allows us to connect to our guides and life more honestly. So it really is a tool to help us,
Cool.
and not necessarily to live exactly by.
Okay, so
For
it's one of the many tools that we all have in this spiritual toolbox, whether it's tarot or
Absolutely.
channeling or cool. Good. Thank you for
Absolutely.
pointing that out.
Of course. So angel numbers started becoming more commonly used more recently. They really are number messages and guidance that are personal to you. So, whether they represent your spirit guides, ancestors, angels, or the universe, they can come in several different ways. If you keep a lookout for book pages, bank account numbers, receipts, price tags. I see most of my numbers on time and clocks, songs or movie time length. That's also a big one for me
Oh,
on like music playlists. If you keep, having the same song stuck in your head or something like that, look at the time length of the song.
oh, okay.
Also, addresses. Before I moved, I checked the angel number of the house address. Always do that before you move into a place to see the energy of the place.
So do you have to develop or derive an angel number, or is it just looking at the numbers? Because when you're mentioning receipts, I giggle when I see, oh, look, I paid 12.34 for that, hee 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 hee, or whatever those kind of series. So it's just the number itself and how you see it and interpret it.
Yeah, exactly. And they can be license plate numbers, dreams, phone numbers, and really angel numbers come to us, I feel like, at the most essential moments when we really need guidance and we're really
Yeah.
stuck, or, we really need that message that day. And the advice can be about anything: relationships, career, money, love, spiritual alignment. And the angel numbers are not always the same for each person because they are based on vibrational frequency.
So your grandmother, does she have a number for you that she lets you
She
know
sends
she's
me,
listening?
yeah, she sends me her birthday. I see 514 all the time. So that's how I first recognized it, because I would see my birthday all the time. And then I started seeing her birthday all the time. That's how she always did at the beginning. And now I get 111 a lot, 444 a lot. And it kind of depends on what's going on. And when you get to know the numbers more and what they each mean, it makes so much more sense when you're seeing them based on the situation that you're in. And it really is interesting. My grandma's very funny in how she sends things. It always is based around birthdays. Somehow she figured out that that would make me know what it is, and it did.
And she's only a little bit smug about that. My sage, they're so smart. What I like about mediumship, sometimes they just kind of dodge in, they say their thing, and then they go away. It's like, oh, okay, thanks. Cool. Okay, so angel numbers, master numbers. Master numbers, I want to touch back on that. I know with the repeating numbers, are angel numbers and master numbers? Wait a minute. Wait. Here we go, hitting an eddy in my stream of consciousness. Master numbers are the repeating numbers, and angel numbers can pretty much be any combination of numbers that catches your attention.
So master numbers are really more for like the double 11s,
Okay.
the 3, 9, the bigger numbers that are considered master numbers. But really, like, that again is up for interpretation based on
Okay.
somebody's path. So some
Okay.
people see that differently. Some people see it as the same. For people who are just into numerology, like it's really just based on the number and the fact, and then whatever your interpretation of that is.
Okay. And then is there a difference in definition of what an angel number and a master number is?
There is a little bit of a difference. I don't have the exact definition of a master number, but I can pull that up really quickly.
Because that's your research, you.
That is the first thing that comes up when I search master numbers is 11, 22, 33, and any combination of those.
Okay.
It comes with a lot of power. So the single digit numbers often get the most attention, but double digit numbers hold the power. And a master number can mean difficulty, but it also means great strength. That's why some people will say, oh, having a master number isn't ideal. Because if you don't take control of the power, then it can spin you out sometimes. I don't necessarily believe that. I think that master numbers are just like any other number, they're just more powerful. I think that it's really interesting the way that they're paired together. For instance, number 11 is for visionary and creators, 22 is architect who builds the vision, and 33 delivers it to the world.
Okay. You bring up perspective so somebody can get spun up about it, and other people are like, yeah, that's okay. Because I've had 411 as a birthday. Well, gee, all my life. So
Right.
understanding that perspective is, yeah. That is like really important.
Master numbers do tie directly into life path numbers.
Great. Let's talk
So,
about that.
for instance, if you want to find your own master number and your life path number, you would add up all of the single digits of your birthday. So, say the birthday is May 18th, 1970. So, you convert the birth month to 5, convert the day of the birth to 1 unit. So, 18, 8 plus 1 is 9. Then 1970 added up to a single digit is 8. And then adding up those total numbers equal 22. The master number 22, or you can add it up to be a life path 4. There's different beliefs on that. So that's the example of how to do it. Based on that, my life path number is 9. So tell me if this sounds like it's true. Compassion and romantic optimism best describe your life path meaning. And also that constantly striving to make the world better for everyone. Life path 9 also is recognized that every individual worldwide is equal and very dedicated to diversity and inclusion. And as somebody in the LGBTQ community, that is absolutely true for me.
Yeah.
And also that we push to defend the disadvantaged because we know that they deserve compassion and kindness. And also that there is, there's humanitarianism, integrity, generosity. And the flip side to that, the challenging characteristics may be impatient, overly emotional, antagonistic, or, angry when we see those disadvantaged people treated wrongly, things like that. So if you'd like to tell me your life path number and I can give you some more insight on it.
Okay. Well, okay, we're breaking it down because my birthday is 4/11. Let me try and write that down right. 4/11, so that's 4 plus 2 in 1961, which goes 10, 17, which reduces down then to 8.
So let's see. So
Okay,
I
which
will
reduces
double
to
check.
18,
I
and
will
then
double
reduces
check the
down to
math.
5. Yes, please check the math.
So that equals 23. So, yep, you are life path 5.
Okay.
And so, like we were talking about before, life path 5 is freedom and change. Life path 5 people are adventurers, typically may be restless, on the go, constantly seeking change and variety.
That's interesting because I'm very content to be at home, except for Saturdays when I go to the bakery that I love.
That is interesting. I agree. I am a total introvert.
No,
And
I'm
and
not
that's
an
what's
introvert. I just like staying at home.
That is completely understandable, and I am totally with you, especially since we are still very much in a pandemic.
Yeah.
Other things that Life Path 5 are also more likely to enjoy meeting new people, trying
Yeah.
new things, being very curious, figure out, answers to life's questions, may have a hard time settling down or have a fear of being trapped, but the love of freedom extends beyond themselves.
Okay. Now I can see where that goes because when people tell me what I should be doing, I go, yeah, let me show you how I'm not. And so I am resistant to I get that my guides are showing me it's like, no, you've got a very you're not the boss of me attitude.
That's a
Totally
good
get it.
thing.
It is.
That's a fantastic thing.
I think
And
it can encompass what you said.
yeah, and I mean, it's really interesting because there's more on fives that are very persuasive and excel at motivating people and are ideal salespeople. And any some careers that are great for life path fives are also travel, since it keeps people stuck out of not in a routine, and also
Yeah.
fives are very versatile. So a person with a lot of fives in their chart would want to be their own boss. They wouldn't necessarily want to work a 9 to 5 job where they have to report to someone else, like you were saying. And it really is cool how certain aspects are just so blatantly apparent when we see them and we're looking at this stuff and we're like, wow, that I see it. And I always say that, whatever tools you use, whether that's tarot or oracle, numerology, runes, whatever the case is, whatever your path is. I love when they call you out because my cards always call me out. I don't know if yours do, but mine always call me out and I always find it hysterical.
Yeah, it's usually my guides who call me out because the cards, I'll just sit there and go, yeah, okay, pretend like I know what it says and then set it aside. pretty. I don't know if I've ever been one of those. Okay, I'm lying. I have been those who have said, I don't like that card and I'll put it away. And then I got called out by another practitioner on one of the boards I do. One of a practitioners called me out and said, if the card drops, you're supposed to read it. And so I call it the Reverend Carmen Murphy School of Tarot, where it popped out, I got to read it. So you may give me three as a guideline to follow, but then if five pop out, it's like, I can't go against my teachings from Reverend Carmen Murphy, and luckily that gets a laugh. So you just mentioned doing a chart. What comprises a numerology or numerological? Let's just go with numerology. That's easier for me to say, but goes into a chart using numerology. Is there more than just doing a life number?
Yeah, so numerology charts can be pretty involved.
Huh.
So I've never done one myself. They're not usually things that I gravitate toward. But if that is something that you're called to, I definitely recommend looking up on, different strategies and things of making your own. I think that it's really awesome to be able to calculate things and see what comes of it.
Because I know with astrology, I've got a friend, Jessica Martin, who says, okay, I pulled the chart for this event day, and this is what we're looking at. And one time she did that for an event we were doing at a local shop. And she said, the astrology says we're not going to get much done here. Let's go have lunch. And that's when we really cemented our friendship, was when we sat down and just talked over some kind of food. I don't know. I cement a lot of relationships that way. But so a numerology chart, that would be interesting. I think that's going to be something I look up.
Yeah, I mean, I am by no means a master of numerology. I never consider myself the end all be all of knowledge on anything. I think that I always encourage people to, look up stuff themselves, see what calls you, see what you're drawn to. And, some people are very honed in on birth charts or, numerology charts, and others are focused on oracle or runes or
Yeah.
numerology, but more angel numbers and life path numbers. So it really depends on what you're drawn to. There's a lot of websites out there that offer free numerology charts. There are calculators. If you don't know, you're unsure if you did the math right for your life path number and your birthday, there are websites that calculate it for you. So there's a lot of stuff out there for chart making, for confirming your life path numbers and all of those things.
Cool. You're talking about birth charts, and it's like, oh, I could run all the numbers on my family and get some insight. I do remember, golly, Michael, what was your last name? But he did my hair. He was a friend of mine. And at my wedding, he ran numbers in a way, and he pointed out that the numbers of our wedding date, which was the same as Penn Dauber and Mark Harmon, which I understand why they didn't come to ours. So I hope they understand why we couldn't show up to their wedding. Okay. But it's 3/21/1987, and that's all divisible by three.
That's so interesting.
Individually, I don't know how they add up, but individually, Michael pointed that out, and I thought,
That's
wow,
so cool.
yeah, yeah, that's just very indicative of how I kind of skirt the issue, like those space capsules. Everybody's so afraid that if you don't hit the atmosphere right, you'll bounce off. That's what I do. I just bounce off and go, okay, that's interesting, like you just said. So, okay, is it easy to manipulate numbers in such a way to get, well, a manipulated response? No, a response can you bend the numbers into your perception of what they ought to be, and get numbers that you can use to prove a point, as opposed to having the number and researching it, figure out what it is you want, and then make the numbers work?
Oh, absolutely. I think that especially for skeptics or people who are unsure, you can absolutely conflate the two. And I think that for me, I always noticed repeating numbers and it happening more than once. So if it just happens once, if it's for instance my grandma's birthday, I'm like, hi, I love you too. Like, I know that it's her saying hi. But if I'm seeing like other repeating numbers multiple times a day, then I'll be like, okay, what's going on here? I don't seek them out. I let them come to me. So whatever I'm drawn to, whatever time I look at the clock, or if I notice patterns, then I'll start connecting them. I absolutely think that people can misconstrue what the numbers are, what they think they are, or things like that, especially if somebody is newer or maybe newer to numerology or to spiritual work and may not have a foundation. But that does not mean that you should give up. Also, I wanted to also talk about if you don't see your angel numbers anymore. Like if you notice that you were seeing numbers a lot and then all of a sudden you don't anymore. I have fallen in that trap so many times of thinking, oh no, like what happened? Like where did the communication from my guides go? Like am I doing something wrong? Why aren't I seeing my numbers? And no, it really is natural. It's really, I think the numbers come to us more when we really need them. And at that point, if you don't see them anymore, you're probably not needing that message. It very much, I think, can go both ways, but don't be worried if you stop seeing them for a bit or they change, because those are different messages.
Or how messages are being or how messages are being presented to you. They may
Yep.
shift from doing numbers. I mean, there was time I've got several feathers on my wall. It's like, okay, yeah, feathers, yeah, great. Another blown up seagull around here. There was once I saw like 5 along my path. It's like, okay. But then you can shift your perception of how the messages are coming to you. Like the other night, we were walking and it was, I think it was the day after the full moon, and the moon was behind the clouds and you could see the reflected light. And I was really glommed onto that. I really hooked up to that. So it's going to, okay, guides are going to get through to you in whatever's going to get your attention. And I'm not
Yep.
speaking you specifically, Sage. I'm speaking the general you. However, your attention's going to be caught. That's where the guides are going to come through and offer messages.
Yep.
When I sit here and
Exactly.
record, my guides are over in the corner going, hello, over here, we're good. So it's not that this is really going off into a really good place, because in general, it's like, oh, I hear guides, and not everybody hears somebody
Right.
using words. They use
Yep.
images and they use just a knowledge, that inner knowing of something. And then you could also look outside and see butterflies all have a meaning for somebody.
Yep, exactly. So it very much depends. And I especially love using angel numbers and things like that for where you live. So if you are moving or you're buying a house, make sure that you are entering a house with the energy that you want. I recently bought a house and I checked the numbers, and how you do that is you just add up whatever digits are in the numbers. And then that all correlates, breaks down to one of the numbers we were talking about earlier. And it can really tell you a lot about the energy of the place. And sometimes our cells don't react well to certain energies or certain numbers, and you don't want to be in that situation. There was the previous apartment that I lived in. I was given the number, I did not have a choice. You can also change it by adding a number to the back of the door, and you can change the energy that way for a house.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't like the energy that the numbers added up to. So I put a number at the back of the door. It added up to a completely different number and a completely different energy.
So that is a way to manipulate the numbers to work with you,
Yeah, exactly.
but that wasn't for to bend somebody to your will, to bend the numbers to your will.
No.
You shifted the energy. Wow, that's amazing. I like that. I like that a lot.
And it's true. Whatever you would be drawn to is how the messages come through. And it's true. Some people hear things, see things. Sometimes it just comes in dreams. Some people get messages all types of different ways. And it really is so cool. So another way that I knew that this was my house was the street name. And I knew there was no other descriptive word that would be more perfect than the name of my street. And I knew when I saw the address, before even seeing the pictures, before even viewing the house, that this was my house. It's really interesting. So if you are moving or buying a house, things like that, check the address, check the numbers, make sure that it aligns with your energy. And if it doesn't, you can change it. You can add numbers to change the energy, or it just might not be the right place.
Yeah, I've got a friend who keeps looking at houses and the pictures look great. And then when she actually gets there, she's like, no. So I'm going to try to remember to integrate those numbers, because with my address, my number address, it distills down to a 2, which is balance and all that. So there's one other thing I want to touch on before we go. It's numbers and doing the numerology of one's name, because you have that whole system of numbers being assigned to letters. And I have so many different versions of my name. I've got my birth name. I have my name I use in my mundane life, my married name, so it can get all that. Could you touch on that just a little bit, please?
Sure. For numbers relating to names, the same can be used to use it. So you can use your birthday to find the life path. You also find the, like you were saying, the numbers related to the letter. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, etc. So
Does it say you repeat the numbers or does it go all the way through 26, 1 through 9, and then you start again? Or is that depending on what system you're looking at?
that definitely depends on the system that you're looking at. There
Okay.
is a system that is exactly like you're saying, 1 through 9.
It's
So
actually
whatever
nice.
that falls into. So AGS is 1, BKT is 2, CLU is 3, DMV is 4, ENW is 5, FOX is 6, GPY is 7, HQZ is 8, and I and R are 9. So you can also use that to break down the numbers by letter as well.
Okay, cool. So you can add those up and then do that whole same reduction. And then,
Exactly.
and is that a different number assignment name? Like, you've had your life path number using the date. Is there some other significance that number distills down into?
The number of the name really not should be, but is often calculated using your full name. So not really a nickname, not really any other name. It's really your full name.
Okay.
That also depends on which path and perspective.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Well, you've covered so much, and I don't think I have any other questions. Do you have anything you want to add to it?
I think that I covered everything that I wanted to go over.
Cool.
I hope that this was helpful. I hope that it can be a tool that you use to better your life. And I hope that it can be used in conjunction with all the other tools that you have.
Yeah, cool. Is there some way folks could contact you if they have any more questions?
Absolutely. I do have an Instagram. It's bracelets to bolster change. And I create jewelry for different charities every month. It's not always consistent based on what's going on with work and other things, but it's always there. You can absolutely reach out to me there and follow along. So I hope that is helpful.
Thank you so much, Sage. I really do appreciate this time spent talking about numerology. It's opened my eyes to a whole lot. Yeah, we're going to call it good for now. So this has been Susie Parker Goins and Sage Stevens. And until next time, blessings.